All right, hello guys, my name is Chad, I work in the support department, and today we will be installing a 2.5-inch solid state drive, a 3.5-inch hard drive into your SG10. Let's rock and roll. So first thing we're going to do is remove the 3/4 panel from the system. All right, to remove the panel, we just slide back and then lift straight off the system. We'll want to be mindful of where we put this guy. It can be scratched and damaged pretty easily. All right, first thing we're going to want to do is flick this power switch into the off position to make sure there's no power whatsoever, no residual running through the system. On the rear of the system, we have the 3.5-inch hard drive mounting plate along with the 2.5-inch solid state trays. So first thing we're going to start with is removing the hard drive plate. So we're going to start with 4 screws and fully remove the screws from the system. And then remove the plate from the inside of the system. Once that's complete, we're going to start installing our hard drive. With the SG10, we want to make sure that the hard drive is oriented with the cable connections down. If we do it in the inverse, it will not work. So, I'm going to flip this over and then align the screw holes. Once the hard drive is secured to the plate, we'll want to place it back into the system. And during this part, we like to connect the cables. It makes life a little easier. So we'll start with the SATA data cable here. I'm going to connect it to the right-hand port, like that. And then the power cable here, connect it to the left-hand port. We'll fold these cables over so that it fits nicely in the machine. All right. We're going to line it up with the posts and then run the cables out of our way over here to the side. Now we're going to secure the plate to the system with the 4 original screws. Great. With the drive securely in place, we'll want to run our cabling. We'll start with the SATA connection. Find a decent port to go through because it's going to come through the other side and connect into the motherboard. And then we want to run our power cable. We're using a 6-pin here connector. This is going to plug directly into the power supply. We have peripheral and SATA labeled. We want to pick one of the ports. Today I'm going to be using the left-handmost port, and I want to be mindful of the clip on the end. Make sure it goes into the clip hole. All right, once that's done, we'll secure the cabling, maybe use a couple zip ties, make it nice and neat, and we will replace the side panel. All right, now we're going to start with the 2.5-inch solid state drive. So to start with, we're going to remove the trays from the system. Generally speaking, we're going to install a solid-state drive here. If you're replacing your drive, this is where your drive should be. If we are installing a new drive, you can install it into either one of these trays, but we would recommend this one. It's a little easier to gain access to these screws. We'll start by removing all 4 screws. That's one end of the tray out. And then 2 more screws down inside of here. And the other tray out. Connecting the trays to the hard drives can be a little finicky. Great. Once the solid-state drive is installed into the trays, we'll want to return the tray to the system. Being very mindful to make sure that the cable connectors are coming out this direction toward the power supply. We will then secure it back in place with the screws that we removed from it earlier. I don't tighten the screws all the way down just so the tray has a little bit of flexibility there as we're installing. Once the tray is in place, we will tighten down all the screws. Now that the tray is in place, we're going to connect the cabling. We will start with the SATA cable again, plugging directly into the right-hand port, and it will click into place. We then find an appropriate hole to run through, because on the other side it's going to plug into the motherboard. Then we have the power connector. Power connector goes into the left. It will click as well, although not as pronounced. We have a 6-pin with a clip on top. We're going to connect it to the peripheral SATA ports on the power supply, being mindful of the clip going into the clip hole. Just like that. Then we'll run our cabling, secure it with a few zip ties, and now it's time to close up the case. We're now going to put the 3/4 panel back on. First thing we want to make sure we do is flick the power switch into the on position. We don't want to forget that and have to take it apart again. Slide the case down from the top, being mindful of any new cables you have and making sure not to pinch anything. Then slide it straight forward to secure it to the rest of the case. All right, we like to start with the side panel screw. It does seem to hold things together a little better. And then we'll add the rear screws. And that's it. We've finished installing our 2.5-inch or 3.5-inch hard drive into our SG10 case. Support department is always here to help. If you need anything, give us a ring. Thanks, guys.